Hi everyone, Ted Simpson here, certified Bob Ross instructor, and I'm going to do a fun little scene here. I didn't even realize I was going to paint today. I just had an overwhelming urge to hop over here, throw on a little bit of color onto a 12 by 16 canvas set in the landscape style, landscape orientation. So, quickly, silently, gonna drop this in here real quick. Oh, I got my little spacer thing here so I can have my canvas up in the air. I really like having the canvas up. If your nose is in about the middle of the canvas, it allows you to really see this from straight on when you're painting. When it's too low, I find the angle is a little rough on my wrists and makes it a little harder to get the right feel for it. So, plenty of liquid white, probably a little too much, but that's all right. Let me wipe some of this excess paint out of my brush here. Give it the old fingertip test. Not too bad. One way, when you have a lot on there, when your finger's pure white, you just take a paper towel and wipe it off. The other way is clean your brush and then just give it a once over, wipe out the brush, give it a once over, wipe off the brush, and you can pick up small amounts there. Just when you want to take off a little bit of the excess paint, just take it off with a dry brush several times. Or maybe just a few times. Just like that. We've got ourselves a nice little thing. So, what am I going to do today? Well, I am going to put out a little bit of paint. A little bit of phthalo green. A little bit of Prussian blue. A little bit. What else are we going to need? Of course, we're going to need some titanium white. What would a Bob Ross painting be without plenty of that firm white color? And I know we're going to need a little bit of the Van Dyke brown. Only got a little bit in this tube left here, but that should be more than enough for the painting here today. I'm going to do something weird. Every day is a weird day when you paint, so let's go ahead and I'm going to start with some Prussian blue, a very tiny amount of the phthalo green, and just a touch of the Van Dyke brown. I learned this trick from a video I watched the other day. And you get different results as you mix these colors together in different proportions. Proportions, that's the word, proportions. So let's go ahead and give it a try. Been playing around with some different combinations of colors here. So let's try a little bit and see what happens. Ha-boom! A little bit more color here and kaboom! Right into the corners. Working my way out, across the top, and working my way down. Ooh, hello. There, I did want it a little bolder. I did want it a little bolder. Let it mix and blend. And I'm going right on down to the tape. I forgot to tell you about the tape. Just focus on there. It's right at about the little more than a third of the way down the canvas. That's where I want my horizon line to be. Look at that. The more I go over this, those colors mix together. Now if I just want to take out the brush marks, you know the drill. I wipe most of the paint out of my brush and I just give it a quick light touch. Okay, let's take a look there. Not too bad. Maybe today's a bold day. Maybe there's a bit of storminess in our sky. So I go back and I do this again. I want it bolder. Look at that. That boldens it up, doesn't it? Pick up some of that color, move it across. Move it down. Look how everything gets bolder. Maybe that's our secret word today. A little bolder. All right. Right now it's pretty bold, full of brush lines here, so I wipe out my brush one last time. I'm going to give it some light crisscross strokes. Maybe just hit it with that 2-inch brush. Happens very fast. That's it. Okay, so fan brush, titanium white. Let's have some funky clouds in here. And just gonna bend those bristles upward. Forcing that paint up there. Really crazy. And then I'm just gonna lightly stir down the bottom. Barely touch. You know, these little tiny circle strokes. Crisscross the rest. Fluff. Crisscross. There's a hair right there. Ooh, there's a hair right there. Ooh, here it is. Let's do that again. More paint onto my fan brush. Let's bolden this one. If it's not so bright. Oh, look, it's bright now, isn't it? I kind of went over it a little too much, and it kind of calms it down a little more than I wanted it to. Nothing wrong with adding more color. The more you stir it in over and over again, it'll all just kind of melt away. There we go. That's a nice little line of clouds. Maybe another one. Ugh. See how you get that paint off the brush? Folding those bristles really deposits that color. And we want to see that fluffy cloud color there. Look at that layer. Layer, layer, layer. After you do that a couple of times, your brush might get full of the blue color as you're mixing and stirring it in. Nothing wrong with just swishing it off, wiping it on a towel. Then you can pick up the color without really contaminating all your white there. So maybe we'll have another cloud in here. Push, push, right on down to the horizon line. Push, push. Ooh, that is a fluffy one. These clouds happen quick. No need to fuss and fiddle around with the same one over and again. Get it on there, blend it, do another. layer upon layer. Ooh, that one out. I don't know where I picked up this yellow. Picked up just a tiny bit of yellow into my white there. Ugh. Ugh. Yeah, I like that. Ooh, that one got bigger. This is already super fun. Should have just done a whole cloud study today. These are just dropping in super nice. Not too shabby. There's a nice cloud-filled sky. I think my canvas is getting a little fluffy. I tell you what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you a little trick here without showing you. I'll show you the results here. You see how this canvas is a little bit fluffy? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it out of the easel here, and I'm just going to give the back a spritz with a little bit of just regular old water. So I'll be back in just a second. Boom. Okay, there we go. Now, if we check here, canvas is much tauter, isn't it? See, it doesn't really spring and be so saggy. If you do it a little too much, you'll start seeing the canvas start to crease. That means it's tightening up so much the whole canvas starts to crease up. But a couple of spritz, just a is enough to tighten up that canvas just so that we can work it. Okay, so let me just do this super quick. I'm just going to clean my brushes. And my 1-inch brush here. You want to make sure that you don't have any excess paint in your brush here. And then let's pull off the tape. Look at that. Get that nice clean horizon line. And it's not going to stay all perfectly perfect there. I pick up a little bit of the liquid white. Just going to work it up here. I need a little bit of the liquid white on this part that was under the tape. So I just give it a nice little scrub there. Good way to remove some of that excess color. And like I said, the horizon line doesn't need to be exactly ruler straight or perfectly perfect. There we go. Just want to be able to slide that color a little bit. And if it's bugging you, you can come back with the fan brush and really sneak it up to that line. But if you just do your best here, I'm sure that'll be good enough. All right, so a little bit of color I'm going to put out just a little bit of the midnight black. And let's see here. I'm going to take all of that sky color, mix it in with a little bit of my Prussian blue, add a touch of black, and just a touch more of the phthalo green. So it's Prussian blue, midnight black, a bit of phthalo green. Okay, maybe even a little bit more phthalo green if it doesn't give a nice tone to your liking. You can add a little more to it. How much phthalo green? That's up to you. While I'm here, I'm going to wipe off my knife here. And I'm just going to use the flat of the blade to flatten down my brown color. Okay, so let's pick up some of this blue-black green, the blue-black green, and I'm coming in with my brush handle a little bit low, pressing in, and just going across. It's not going to be perfect, that's okay. Just going to focus on getting that relatively clean edge. Anything that's not quite right, we're just going to be adjusting anyway. Putting in some wave forms, little streaks and so forth. There we go. Now you can see I'm kind of picking up this color, bringing it down a little bit. Look how it mixes with the liquid white. It automatically gets lighter as we go down. At any point here, I pick up a little bit of the excess color, move it down a little bit, and I can always come and pick up a little bit more paint in my brush and get some of that color laid out there, and just these nice long strokes. That's what helps make this look like stilled dark water. And then we're going to have a little bit of beach here. Let's just say it's somewhere about like that. A little bit offset. That means I just come down a little further on the right side and on the left side. How much beach do you want in your painting? That's up to you, isn't it? There we go. Now, I'm going to figure out here, I know I'm going to have this big old crasher, and I'm going to put a little bit more of the phthalo green where I know where my big crasher wave is going to be. Somewhere right in here. Just a little brighter green where that transparency might be. Now I'm going to clean my brush thoroughly. And I'm going to go into my Van Dyke brown. This will be my beach color here. And I want this darker at the bottom, and it's just going to get lighter as I go up. So I add a little bit of the dark, and then I slowly bring it up. Watch how it picks up that white, and it automatically gets lighter right where it's going to touch the water. And that's what I'm going for. I want it to be a little lighter right up there. Makes it easier doing your little waveforms and all that surf. If we just get a nice little transition of color. See how that blue is a little bit lighter, the water is a little lighter at the bottom, and the beach is a little lighter at the top. Makes sense, right? Now, if I was to maybe just put a couple little streaks, I just tapped into a little bit of a white. Just hit it here and there. Blend it a little. Just to change the flavor a little. There we go. Now, oh, what did I do here? Maybe I'm going to show you something here. I'm taking a single drop of paint thinner, tapping it into some of this black. I think I've done this before, but I'm going to pull these bristles back. Oop, didn't have enough paint in there. Just getting a little bit of paint thinner, tapping it into that black. Getting some little spray of little sandy bits there. You know, I'm gonna try this with the fan brush, just like how you make splashes. Oh, that's so much easier. So much cleaner than using your finger. A little bit of the Van Dyke Brown, and maybe just a touch of titanium white. Oh, look at all those little, maybe they're little seashells or just little bright things. Just here and there. Nice. Maybe a couple more of the black ones. I'm having fun here. There it is. Gives it more of a sandy effect. All right. Now it's time to start building out our seascape. Building out our waves way off in the distance. Taking a little bit of the white, pulling out nice and flat, cutting across. Look how little paint I have there. We can always add more. Okay. If it's not coming off for you, I'm going to spread out a little bit more. This is titanium white. Add just a touch of the liquid white. Very, very small amounts. Just little things here and there. They're like little horizontal lines. Touch, 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 touch. Wipe the knife, reload the knife. Touch, 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 touch. Touch, 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 touch. Not a big deal. We just want some skinny little horizontal lines way off in the background there. We're going to do some stuff to them. And that's what helps clean up your horizon line too. If you went a little bit over it here and there, just putting a couple little lines back here and there makes them go away. There it is. Now with my mostly clean 1-inch brush here, just give it a light pull across. Light, light, light touch. That's it. Nice distant little things happening here. Now, with a little bit more paint on my knife, I'm going to make a bigger little background wave here. Let me show you that again. A little bigger roll of color. I touch, I bend the knife a little bit, and look how that paint just sort of squirts off one side. Giving a nice bead, and it kind of makes a little smeared bit at the top. I come back here with my fan brush, and I'm going to brush the top part away. Not up, a little bit more to the side, if that makes sense here. We're kind of pushing that wave back. Let it look like it's flowing. Bob will sometimes make these little sweeping motions here. Something like that. They're calm, okay? And if you want to make this wave have a little bit more height to them, I'm going to come back and just gently pull the top in this little curve, this little arc. You can automatically see it look like a wave. Okay, now there's more detail and stuff coming. Don't worry about it yet. Just want to have an indication of the start of this wave. See that? You pull a little bit of that color down in a little curve form here. It starts to look like a little almost cresting wave. Now, what I do here with just a touch of the liquid white, titanium white together on the fan brush, I can strengthen that up by putting these little splashes at the top. Letting those bristles bend and putting some little splash up there. Here and there, and then using the other corner of the brush, I pull down a little bit. You might have a little bit of paint in your brush and it happens automatically here. You can strengthen those up to whatever degree of splashiness you like. Something like that. Okay, I think it's time to put in our bigger crest here. Now, how do we want to do it? There's a number of ways we can put this in. I'm going to try a different way here and just create the top by doing that splash. Push, push. See that? Sometimes Bob will just draw in a little line. I like occasionally doing a little splash just to make that. Okay? This is just the lightest of sketches here. Just so that you can kind of see where it's going. A little more paint in my brush. And let's create the little cascade just by pulling over. Creating the roll, the tunnel. There we go. Now, a touch of the white and blue, kind of making a shadowy color here. I'm going to create, not dark enough. Going to create a little shadow. I have some nice splash over here. There we go. There's so many different ways, so many different orders of what you can do. You don't have to do it all in one particular order or with any one particular brush. Play around with it. Figure out what brush, what technique works best for you. I mean, sometimes we put the eye in right away. Other times, like today, you do the eye, oh gosh, not quite last, but a little later on. So let's go ahead and do that eye now. Touch of cadmium yellow. And I often do this with a filbert brush, but today I'm going to go ahead and just do it right here with my fan brush. A little bit of the yellow and white. And come up here. I just want to scrub a little bright spot and have it trail off down this cresting wave. A little bit of yellow, a little bit of the titanium white, scrubbing in the color, mostly just looking for the brightness. Bring it right on down and trailing off. That's it. Now, I'm going to clean my fan brush really, really well. Not just clean the fan brush, but really dry it well, too. I've got a towel laid out here. So, very dry. You don't want any paint thinner in there. And now I'm just going to barely touch. Just make that softer. Okay. Now, even lighter. I'm just using like 2 or 3 bristles here. Create this curve by touching and pulling, kind of in a sort of reverse C shape. The more you go over this, it will just keep blending and softening in. So the trick is get that basic shape formed and leave it be as much as possible. I know, better, easier said than done. The trick is no paint thinner. Just that feather touch. There we go. Now I want to have a little bit of this shadow coming down. Then I want to have the titanium white with just a touch of the liquid white in it. You don't need much in your brush, you just want it the right consistency here. So I'm going to tap some together, and then I'm wiping most of it off, just in case. So, let's strengthen up this splash here. Bending those bristles, getting that paint to come off. And we want to have some splash. Leaving some of the shadow. So you see, you have the nice white splashes with a little line of shadow there. The reason being, once I come back with a clean, dry brush, I want to soften right where the highlights and the shadow are, creating this little transitional area here. Tickle in a little bit of the highlight and shadow together. The cool thing is, if you hit it too much, you can always get a little bit more splash in there. There we go. I got a nice little cresting wave. Put in some more splash up here. Ooh, it's a rough one up there today. And down here, this is where the water is flat. Okay, the water is coming down to a horizontal plane here. So if I just sort of zigzag a little bit of this white in there, helps give the sense that this is nice and flat. This wave comes down, hits the bottom, you know, the beach there, and gives that sense of flatness. Alright, let's come back here. I picked up a little bit more of the white so that I can, there we go, now I can get in some foam patterns and things starting to happen down here in the foreground. All this stuff. Maybe getting a little bit of a curve going here. Okay. I do just a little bit of cleanup here, blending some of it back and around and working some into the water and creating all this variation and tone and shapes and colors. And all this stuff starting to happen in here. Now I'm going to come back and I am going to add a lot more detail around all these various things, like back here. We can have a little bit more of this here like that. Have it be a little bit bolder. Maybe there's almost even a little secondary wave way back there that I can blend back with my fan brush. Some of the little things starting to happen here and there. We could put in little white caps in a little bit here. Just going to focus on, what are we going to focus on? Maybe right down here where the beach is starting. Get a little sense of an already crested wave form here. And this is just the residue of the water rushing back into the sea. Just bending, moving the brush, or in this case the knife, blending backwards. You see, you put it right there where the water is transitioning to the beach, and it just looks right. You get all these little transitional colors happening. Very cool. All right, let's throw in some indications here of details. All about the details here. So, just zigzagging my brush here. Very thin color. I have my titanium white or liquid white with some paint thinner in here. Getting very small amounts here on my brush that I can just sort of wiggle waggle here and there. Wiggle waggle, creating these little lines in the water. Even back here, you can zigzag a few of these little things in. Any of these dead spots here, any of this negative space, it's a perfect spot to put in all these little lines. You can even strengthen up the edge. Okay, what I'm going to try here, create a couple of little foam patterns right down. Those are the details that help create the wave effect. I do some dark ones. You can do some lighter ones. And the cool thing is, if they're a little too strong, I just come at it with a dry brush and you can soften and make some of them disappear if you want to. There we go. All right, so I see some negative space back here. So maybe there's some little foamy things. Little wiggle waggles. This is something here that I definitely need practice on, so I might as well give it a try here. I take my dark color here and maybe we'll strengthen up this shadow line right there. There we go. Really creates a little separator between the transparency and that foam. And sometimes you can create a little bit more of a 3D effect if you put this little line right under these leading water things here. There we go. It kind of raises that foam up, gives it a little bit of height. There we go. Cool. All right, let's see what we got. Maybe let's add a little bit more detail here. Gosh, I can't believe it's already 43 minutes in. Maybe let's take a little bit of my Van Dyke brown and let's just sort of smear a rock in here. Maybe this wave is cresting across. Comes crashing down. Just a basic shape here. One of the key things in putting in this rock is have it come down relatively flat at the bottom. That's going to help create the effect that this is, kind of eroding and the water is flat. The rock is coming out of the water. Okay, I'm going to take my fan brush and help strengthen that effect just by pulling at the bottom here. And brushing across, maybe get a slight indication of a shadow, or a reflection, I should say. Now, before I do anything else here, I'll take a little bit of the white and brown mixture, and sort of mixing those colors together to get a little highlight color. Let's put a little highlight on these rocks. Just here and there, a little indication of where the sun is striking. A little bit brighter in some spots, a little bit darker in other spots, something like that. Now, with a little line of paint here, I'm using the short side of my knife, and I'm just going to create a little water line right here at the base of this rock. Like how I did this one here. Just the small edge of my knife and different direction. There we go. Maybe stretch this out a little. There we go. So the wave's crashing in front of the rock, and it just gives it a nice little stony appearance. Now, while I have a little bit of paint on my knife here, you know what? Let's throw in another rock just to offset this first one. Just having some dark color pressed in there. Doesn't really matter what the shape is. A little bit of highlight. Just let it dance down there. Yeah, I think we got it. Now, see, I already cleaned my brush here, but just going back with a little bit more. And you can keep adding little details here and there, maybe a little bit here in the water, or in the sand, I should say, just some little foamy things. It's up to you how much detail you want to put in there. All these little things back here and there. I don't think I'll mess with it too much more than that. So, with that being said, I'll take my light color here, drop in a quick little signature, and call that painting done. I really like that color I made for the water here. Just a little bit of the Prussian blue, phthalo green, and just a hint of brown creates a nice effect. Alright, with that being said, I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your week and a great weekend. I'll see you in the next video. Take care, everyone.